my glass. I'll be I'll be right back. This is a great opportunity for people to start, coming in anyway. Can't stream without my freaking. All right. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Here we go. I am Bach, and I'm happy to be here with the internet on the second stream of 2019 for Jai Jai Jai. We are gonna have a lot of fun here, as hopefully we always do. Um, Last time we borrowed some of Sokoban's code for ourselves, and it was basically some serialization code. Um, and we're gonna move towards the next item on the to-do list, right? Like we gotta have that game finished, and we're just doing the last set of steps to debug, add the last set of features, change the art, and then we're done with that game, right? So we really want to make sure Blotman is perfect, and that it's not called Blotman when we release it, right? It'll be something new. Okay, so I need first of all to recompile uh, recompile the compiler because John submitted a lot of new changes, right? So we're talking like a bunch of interesting things when it comes to modules and the way. I don't think he's done a demo yet, right? So I'm just not gonna go into details about that. Ooh, that was a close one. Ooh, wee. So, but there was a bunch of new features with modules and how we deal with libraries. He still has one more chunk left, I believe, before he can do another one of his famous demos. But a bunch of new stuff came in. It was very exciting. But yesterday and today, I spent some time with Josh, just making sure that all the programs in Linux and Mac and everything else was still working after those changes. And you had to fix some things, but it wasn't that bad. Okay, so we got some warnings, but that's not a problem. Um, huh. It says syntax error. Okay, not very legible. I'm used to legible error messages. What's going on? Let's take a look. Can you guys see this? Let's make sure that this is like super big. There we go. Okay. Huh. What's going on there? So what happened here was one of the things that I do is I work on the build server, our internal build server, right? For generating executables for the Sokoban team, the art team, Sokoban programmers. And sometimes if I want to test that the build server is providing proper build failure messages, I intentionally break the compiler. So this is not supposed to be there. Let's go ahead and change that. Okay, delete. Okay. All right, let's try and compile that again. Also, I want to see the output. That's better. Let's rebuild. Let's see. Not real Jesus. Not the Lord and Savior. I was hoping I could have my soul saved. I drink so much wine on stream that I'm not sure I can go to any heaven. as conceptualized by humans. John's last stream updated Blobman imports. Yes, I saw those. I saw the SVN commit history, and I noticed that he did that. I haven't actually compiled and run the game, so we're about to see whether or not it's good to go on my machine, right? All right. So that succeeded. Let's compile the debug build as well, right? Let's do that and drink some drinks. Da, 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 da. Compiling the string in Turner and LLVM as well. Come on, come on, give me a success. Give me a success. I don't want to disappoint the Twitch people. You can't disappoint the Twitch people. They've been nothing but nice to me. My machine is not as fast as John's, if you noticed. This is also C++ code, so what can you do? Not to diss on C++, you know. It's done well for what it was meant to do. Okay, so that's good news. So let's go into, let me first just like quickly run the test to make sure my test suite is proper. All right, here we go. Wine heaven. Oh, I hope so. Yeah, that seems to have worked. Let's run my tests. Uh-oh. It says the code execution, this is on the other monitor. Oh, I see why. Okay. I would not call that a feature. Ooh, I'm gonna have to fix that. Did something change with modules that interesting. Okay, well, this is an easy fix. Let's put that there. I'm gonna have to look into that. Let's try it again. There we go, perfect. Yep, 20,000 tests in a fraction of a second, just as I like it. Perfect. All right, guys, this is looking promising. Now let's go to Blobman and compile Blobman. All right. That looks good too. I never doubted John. I'm doubting my machine and my module's path or my environment or something. Although we keep that to a minimum. Game, right? Hooray! Hooray! Okay, and then let's do debug real quick. Make sure there's nothing wrong there. Excellent. Excellent. So I'm very happy about that. All right. So let's get on with the real thing. Let me just tweet real quick that we're live, and we'll get back to programming. Very excited to see what comes next. Now live on Twitch.tv. Hashtag programming, right? Slash up there. And I have a request for the Twitch audience in just a second, by the way. There we go. Excellent. Now, there's two things that we should focus on. But before that, let me just remind you what we did last time. For those people who are just coming in and they weren't here on the first stream of 2019, right? So what happened was, I wanted to have a way of updating struct values in my game, right? So you're gonna have multiple struct instances whose values I want to update through a file, right? So you have a file, you want to poke values into the struct through the file, and you know that's basically serialization. And Sokoban does that already pretty well. So we borrowed some of Sokoban's code to save time and save money for the company, and we integrated it into Blobman. So we should have that working now. And the way that works is if you go into Blobman's run tree folder, right, and you open up data, then you go into the all.variables file, and here we have values to update at will at runtime, which we haven't done. So let's just test that you can actually poke those values in, right? So let's go into source and let's start adding some structs that we can edit real quick, right? Let's see. Let's just come up with a struct. I don't want to mess with my structs just yet. My structs are mine. And let's see. How about what we did last time? Let's just do one member today, just one. Ryan Fleury is online, so we'll say, remember the friendship struct, right? Because we're all friends here, we all care about each other. It's teamwork instead of competition, usually. Ryan Fleury, Delix, right? Or just do like friend is Ryan Fleury, right? So that's my friendship struct. And then I'm gonna make an instance of the friendship struct and make sure that we have at least one friend. Right? Friend. My N is broken in my keyboard. Friendship, right? And then we open up all that variables, which is in, I guess, run tree. Where am I? There we go. Run tree, data, all that variables, right? Now we set up what's called the way the parsing works, or the way the serialization code works in Sokoban, which we're using now in Blotman, is that you match the folder name to the struct name. And the folder name in a .variables file is only just a colon, right? A slash, and then a name. So friendship. And now when the serialization happens, friendship will be tagged to the friendship struct, right? And then I can set values here and say friend, and then update my friend. It will no longer be Ryan Fleury, right? It's gonna be BBYAN, something like that, right? And it's just a name value pair. So that's what the variable is. It's the identifier and it's the value coming right after it. In this case, it's a string literal, but it can be many other things, right? So you can write a comment like we did up here, and I can say valid values are string literals, booleans, integers, and floats. I think you can do arrays, but I'm not going to do arrays for Blotman at the very least, right? And so that should just work. That literally should just work. So right now, if I go to main and I decide to print my friend, let's just put it here. We're not in C++. There we go, friend. Then I should get BB blah instead of Ryan, right? Because of the serialization. I wouldn't even call it serialization. You're just basically poking values into a struct. That's it. So here we go. Boom. I think this means something. Ryan, are you like feeling me? Okay. Let's try and find out what went wrong. Well, that should have worked. Friendship is tagged properly as a folder name, right? We have a friend, and we have a friend. And then we are establishing. So that makes sense. So what's going on is we forgot to register the struct, which I showed on last stream, right? So you need to register that. And the way we register, let's see, where's reload? Am I even reloading anything? I don't think I am. Let's do a grep. I'm not even reloading anything. Okay. So we just didn't register the struct and we didn't reload the file to poke the values. So Let's do that. The way we do, I think it's add value folder, right? And then we pass in, what do we pass in? Let's take a quick look at the source. I think it's in vars. Yeah, add value folder. So we pass in a friend, right? And that's it. And then we say reload variables, all, and then data slash all dot variables. Okay. And then if we print, we can do a print before and after, right? So we print our friend who's currently Ryan here. And then we print our friend after that. This should have worked. I'm surprised I didn't test this on last stream because I did it on a sample program, but I didn't do it on the Blobman game. That's weird. Right, let me see. And I'm loading the files properly. I'm not even loading the files. Okay, load vars Ajay. Wow, what happened? It feels like I did this. Doesn't it? Somebody has to tell me if on the previous stream I already did this. It could be that I reverted the commit and then updated and I took in John's changes without putting my stuff in. That's just weird. Right, we need to pass in a pointer. So a pointer to friend. Cool. Undeclared identifier reflection. Do we, what's going on there? Reflection. This might be, oh, this is interesting. This could have to do with John's module changes. Okay. Let's do a grep for reflection here real quick. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I gotta import basic, potentially. In which case, that will be happening here. I'm tempted to explain what's going on with modules now, but I gotta let John do that. Here we go. Still? Oh, it's coming from vars. Fair enough. So reflection doesn't have it? 182. So that used to be, did that used to be a struct? Yeah, and then you can't find it. Set value from string. Let's take a look at that. Let's open up a new console. Debugging internal stuff, ladies and gentlefish. Here we go. Let's go to modules. Let's take a look at set value from string. Set value from string. Yep. Let's see where that's coming from these days. Oh, so there's an actual, wait, what? Huh, there's an actual reflection module now. I'm not sure if that wasn't necessary in the past, but now it is. Reflection. Okay. Oh, I guess we can stay in modules and switch tabs. There we go. There we go. Okay, does that mean I don't need basic? Okay, hopefully. Yeah, that looks about right. So that's a lot better. That's a lot better. The problem is we are not, Ryan is still my friend. And I'm not sure I'm okay with that. Things are supposed to change. Things are supposed to be moving around. And it could be that maybe the working directory let's see, let's just explicitly set a default working directory as a constant, right? Which means, and I'll explain in another stream why I like setting an explicit default working directory, but examples, Blotman, and then run tree, and we'll leave it at that, right? Set working directory, default working directory, and then we're gonna go ahead and compile that. Perfect. And for some reason, I got rid of the prints. Why did I have to get rid of the prints? Friend and friend. So what we're talking about here is that Ryan sucks, and we got BB on the screen. Of course, Ryan, you're my friend. Usually, I think so. Yeah. So that's good. That is something that I find useful to be able to poke into those structs, right? Finally, I can talk to you about two things that I want to do in today's stream. One thing is I want to be able to pick up on file changes. So again, going back to all dot variables, I want to be able to have my game pick up on folder changes. So let's say I have a new struct, right? Let's say I have a struct saying, you know, gameplay settings, and just to be able to say full screen true, MSAA true, just like Sokoban does basically. But something more specific to Blotman, right? So sometimes I want to be able to change the sound effects, right? Or the background music. I'm not sure what to put in here. Not even gonna do it. Okay. So on the fly, I want to be able to change these settings, right, without having to have an in-game menu, because that's just going to take a lot of time. And this is only an example game, right? It's not a real full-fledged game. So being able to pick up on these changes on the fly, though, will be very helpful, will be very useful. So that means we're going to have to find a way to fire off a thread when the game starts and have it listen in on a file, listen for changes. So we're gonna need some kind of file listening API, right? I'm used to that on Linux, but not on Windows very much, but I should have some code available for me here. And then update or reload the struct whenever, reload the file whenever it finds a new change on it. So that's gonna be the plan. The other plan that I wanna be able to implement is sound effects and music. So I don't have that at all, right? Like my coworker Josh has me beat there. Like his game Snake has some really cool sound effects and background music. And I feel like, well, Blotman should have that. But let's make it Twitch crowdfunded. In other words, if you, okay. Here we go. So, haha, BB. So remember that the theme of Blotman is actually going to be different. Right, so if we look at the to-do, where is the theme? Here. The theme is going to be replaced with a thief collecting treasure from a museum. Now, I would love it if the people on the chat could think of a song or a background piece of music that is royalty-free, at least, or sound effects that are royalty-free, that will go in the theme of Blotman. Of course, you'll be credited 100%. On the game, I'll add a credits menu part and put on names there. It could be just your username, but it could be your full name and the username, whatever you want. So I feel like that would be pretty cool, just to have people help me out there, because I'm only good at programming, presumably, not so much in the art direction or in music selection, right? So we'll make that Twitch crowdfunded, basically. Um, and in the meantime, so if you have links or something, just like DM me on Twitter or tag me on Twitter or message me here on the chat, whatever you want to do. I think Twitch also has private messages, and I'll be sure to credit you if I choose something that I think is pretty cool. So, and I'll do it on a first come, first served basis. So if somebody first comes in and says, this is what I think is cool, and I look at it and I really like it, then you will already be chosen for the song, right? So there we go. I'll keep an eye on the chat, don't worry. All right. So speaking of file listening changes, let's just look at, like I said, it's important to be able to, for some reason, BAM is not working. Okay. It's important to be able to find code from the team that has already done what I am trying to do in order to save time, right? So we're going to go back to Sokoban, and we're going to see if they have already done what I'm looking for on Windows, which is to be able to do file listening, right? Here we go again with Sokoban and SVN and Commander being slow. So telling the truth can be dangerous business. I'm gonna write some of these suggestions. Okay. I'm not even sure how that works. Like if I choose a song that's copyrighted, but the game isn't meant to make any money, like is that legal? I have no idea. So hopefully the suggestions are, royalty free, but if not, I'll look at the legal implications of your suggestions, I guess. All right, let's do a quick update. John uses the song, so it's okay. I see. Long Boolean. Probably want some sneaky Philly nighttime music, some smooth jazz. That would be awesome. Yeah. Do you have any specific jazz piece you think would work? Mr. Boole? Okay. All right. So, file listening API. We're gonna dig in through the source. All right. This is very important, by the way. The ability to look into other people's code who are, the character of experience when you're programming is always going to be different from another person, right? Like the way we think correlates with the way we decide to structure our programs. And so when you're studying other people's code, you're actually studying a result of how their psychology is at play, or their character of experience was at play when they were programming. And it's hard. It can be hard because you can probably disagree on certain things. A lot of the times, or most of the time, it's an engineering question whether what you wrote is the optimal thing. But there's a sliver, right, that has to do with your psychology. And since software engineering isn't a very rigorous field just yet, you're always going to find yourself in these traps where some code makes sense to the person's mind, but not to yours. I don't think Sokoban, I think my code isn't up to par with the quality of the code of senior engineers and John, right? But they do program in a way that's different from my style. And so you get to see how I parse mentally, right? Not literally. How I parse the code that they wrote, find something useful from the stockpile and integrate it back to my own code base, right? That's a very useful skill to have as an engineer, especially once you start transitioning to a senior role. I'm not senior quite yet, but I've seen that a lot of seniors they find and understand very quickly what the mindset of the person was who wrote this, find what's useful for them, and integrate it back into the code. And then when they do this really quickly, the time savings and the cost savings for the company is just massive, and that's why they're senior, right? Because they're able to do that kind of thing. So right now I'm trying to think of a file listening API that can detect a change in a file or the creation of a file, whatever, on a path. And if that's detected and it gives me back like the name of what changed, that is all I care about for Blobman, right? So just looking at the list, I know for a fact that Sokoban does a lot of hot loading or hot reloading. And there should be a file that has to do with loading on this list, right? So if I do a grep for loading, and then, hold on, let's do it differently. Grep for loading. Nothing. How about load? Yeah, there it is, right? And I think I'm familiar with this file um, based on some Linux work that I did, but I'm not super familiar with it. So we're gonna do some digging ourselves together in this stream and see which things have to do with potentially listening on a file. Okay, so there's a struct right here called directory info, and that already tells me something, right? It tells me that based on this member right here, OS specific, tells me that Sokoban is already abstracting away the specifics of how an operating system listens for file changes, right? So it has a struct that will apply probably for Mac, Linux, and Windows as it is, and then it's going to have this using, which is clever, on OS-specific data. So that's pretty cool. It has a directories array of these structs. So we're going to hunt down directories and see how they're registered, first of all. Okay, so they're registered here. That was fast. You have array add directories that came from some directory names. Where were those directory names added? Okay, so it's a root data directory. Okay, so Sokoban is listening for all the files under the data folder. So if you go to run tree and data of Sokoban, it's listening in for all these files, which is actually more complicated than what I want, right? I just want to be able to listen to one file. So I suspect there's going to be a lot of simplification happening here. So it's listening into the data folder. It adds them into the directories array, and that's all well and good, but I'm not seeing the API that listens in on this stuff, right? So let's just keep scrolling. We got some background info there. Directories is very important. Okay, shutdown releases a directory. That all makes sense. These are just helper procedures. Here's registering a callback. Process change sounds weird. What the heck is process change? Okay, yeah, okay, so yeah. Pump platform notifications. That, if I'm correct, this is what Sokoban is doing to listening on file changes, right? So if we hunt down that function, here it is. There's a Windows version of pumping platform notifications, and there's a Linux version of pumping platform notifications, and there's a Mac OS version of pumping platform notifications. I have no idea. I am not a Mac OS person. But we're on Windows, right? I'm also not a Windows person. I'm usually a Linuxy person. I grew up with Linux since I was like 13. Okay. So, but we're on Windows, so let's just take a look at that code. I'm getting song suggestions here. That's awesome. Let us put those in. So I already have telling the truth can be a dangerous business. I forgot who mentioned that. Let me get the name of that person, okay? Who said telling the truth can be a dangerous business? Tell me. And then we have Ryan Fleury, Jordu by Clifford Brown. It's a smooth jazz, right? Sasluka, hey man! Ghost fight song from Undertale. Oh my god, you guys are giving me dangerous songs to put in on a game. Okay. Cool beans. So I'm not sure if it has to be royalty free. BB. I just don't know, but it'd be safer, right? So pump platform notifications on Windows. Again, I don't think I've done file notification changes on Windows, like an API for that, but I can see it here. This is not a Windows thing. 100% not a Windows thing. Windows API, that much I know, that their conventions for how to name their procedures isn't like this. So this is potentially useful. This probably is reading in or listening into file changes, right? So if we take a look at that, yeah, so issue one read is taking in a directory, info struct, which is, remember, that is what we saw at the very beginning, right? Is presumably a directory that you listen in on, right? Issue one read takes in that directory struct, so that's telling me that this is the thing that will listen on the change, right? And lo and behold, this does look exactly like a Windows API function with the W at the end and everything. It's bizarre. I don't like that convention, but you know, aesthetics, not as important as semantics. Wow. I am glad I don't have to write any of this. Goodness gracious, holy. I mean, orient together flags make sense. I don't know why, for some reason that just scared me for a little bit. I know there should be like an iNotify version on Linux, because Linux has a different way of dealing with this, I think. So let's take a look at iNotify. Right. So this is probably Josh did this. Oh, there's a bug or a typo. It's useful, right? Unless there, yeah, you can't do double L's. Yeah, I like this better. I think what I liked, what I didn't like from the earlier one, besides the name of the function and this Windows thing, was not having something like this. It's just a lot less information to take in if you do it this way, right? Again, you see, this is what I was saying earlier. How a senior engineer like Ignacio would have just already been using the file API at this point, right? Would have already done all this process, because he wouldn't be shocked by the fact that you have a very long function call all in one without doing this kind of break, right? It's all about that. It's all that brain nonsense, psychology nonsense. Okay. Yeah, we'll fix that in a bit. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is fine. This is obviously this is the thing to do, right? It's not a big deal. Okay. Is there, let me see. There's a local, no, okay. OS create directory notification. So I think we need this one too. We might need to borrow this function as well. What does this do? Creates a file. I see. Okay. Let's see how this is used in context. So OS create directory notification. Where is it being called? Okay, so when you initialize the hot loader, you have OS create directory notification calls for the directory name, which you need to do when you want to listen in on the file later, right? Because the directory hasn't been created. Okay, so you do this to initialize those directory structures. Ah, it's all falling into place. Okay, so Windows is very much like Linux in a sense. Okay, so when you initialize the file listening API, and Sokoban at least, you create directory notifications, which is from the list of the names found under the data folder. Once you get all of those structs created and you add them to the directories array, when you call process change, you already have those things created. And for each directory, you call issue1read, which we already discussed is the thing that listens in on a file. Okay, I just need to know one last thing. What is the message that you get when you find a change in a file? So Sokoban is listening for files that were added, modified, and renamed to a new name. I would personally only care about files that were modified. Perfect. Perfect. So as far as I can tell, we don't need a directories array. We do need a directory info struct, and a single thing to listen in for. And we only need to listen for modifications of that file, right? Because we're assuming that it's going to exist already. And then we need two functions, two procedures from Sokoban to operate on that struct, on that one file, which is always create directory notification and always directory notification, and what was the other one? And issue1read, right? And that's all pump platform notification does. So that's pretty good. So let's start borrowing. Steph Devs, you gave me a song suggestion. Thank you. All right, so I got 4 songs now on the list. Where is it? Covert Affair, Film Noir. So I think next stream we can maybe add audio real quick with one of these songs. Assuming I can get this done, or most of it. I may have to do something offline. Okay, so let's copy off. Oh boy, how do we do this? We're gonna do it like last time, right? So last time we made a folder called variables to deal with integrating serialization into Blobman. So now we're gonna create a folder called file listening in order to create a sample program to show that we understood Sokoban's code base and then put that into Blobman once we've proved that we understand what's going on, right? So we're gonna create a classic main.jai, right? And then we're gonna copy Sokoban's hot loader. Let's see, source hot loader into this folder. And we're gonna stop messing around. So '16, very big. Hot loader. Okay. First, a quick main. We need our basic module. Okay. And then we need a directory info. Is this constant being used anywhere for us? It's used for iNotify, but that's Linux. No, wait. Is it Linux? Hold on. No, it's being used on Windows too. Fair enough. So we'll copy that off too. We don't need an array of directories, like I said, but we do need issue1read coming from Windows. Where's that defined? Is that defined here? Yes. So we're gonna copy that off here. Marcio VMF, which color scheme is this? This is desert. Wait, that's not true. This is Wombat. It's the Wombat theme. It should be available on the Vim site. There's like this Vim site used for scripts and for hosting themes too. All right, so issue1read is what we need. Then we need We're gonna stop there real quick just to make sure that this will compile. Okay, let's keep our cognitive overhead low. Well, this whole directory info OS specific is not going to work right now, so let's comment that out. Let's see. We probably need to import Windows. Ugh. And now we can compile and see what's going on. That's wrong. So, is it because you need OS specific? I hope not, but you probably do. Let's do a search on that. Yeah, okay, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Here you go. All right. Hey, Andrew. It's good to see you. I also see a samurai around here. That's rare. Hope you don't chop my head off, dude. Okay, so that's looking good. Let's compile again. Excellent. Well, that was fast. So we already got the directory info struct working. We have the specific struct working, and we have this procedure just working fine. Now, can I be slick and get rid of? No. Okay. So the next procedure we said we needed was create directory notification, something like that. Okay. Wait, is that enough? We'll see. Boom, boom. Excelente, excelente. Vamos a ver aquí cómo que va a funcionar la cosa. Porque los directorios de la notificación del evento de la banda. So, para mí que va a ser bastante importante compilar esto otra vez. Ups, tiene que ser el file main.jai. ¡Ají! Jai. Ok, so tenemos el identificador UTF-8 to wide. No está funcionando muy bien. Eso está como un poquito loco. ¿Qué es el módulo que necesita importar para que tenga esa definición? UTF-8 to wide. Ok. ¿Quién? ¿Quién? Por el amor de Dios, ¿quién? Windows UTF-8. Okay. All right. So we're just gonna add that in. UTF-8. There have been some changes in the code base, so I don't remember all the module names specifically, or like what you need to import for certain procedures. Okay, so we're gonna try that again. Blotman. Okay, sorry, we're not even in Blotman. We're dealing with what are we dealing with? File listening. Better, a lot better. So we already have two full procedures added in, right? We have issue one read, which is gonna make that one quick check on directory changes. And then OS create directory notification is gonna be what we need to start the listening process. Yeah, here it's the flag that says opening system. So okay. You're so dope, girl. You're so cool. You know, like other programmers, I would prefer to write my own code, right? Now, like I said earlier, the sign of a programmer that's maturing is somebody who can take in other people's work that already works at a reasonable enough level to move on and be productive, right? But this experience it's still something that I don't enjoy as much as I would writing my own thing. But you really need to fight that urge as you grow older. And I'm pretty old at this point. I'm in my 20s, but it's not 25 anymore, you know? Okay, so that compiles. So what would be the next thing? If we have the structs is two of them, and we have the two procedures, what's next, right? Well, I would say creating a struct instance with the folder, with the file that we want to watch for, right? For Blobman, it's all that variables. For Sokoban, it would be a whole folder, but we just want to listen on one file. So let's just make up a file, right? Let's listen for changes again into our friendships. So we're gonna call it friendships.variables, right? We're gonna touch it. We're gonna touch our friendship deep within. And we're gonna add in. Let's just leave it empty for now, right? So ideally, once we modify this file, our program should have picked up on it. That's what we want to see. That's all we want to see for it to be picked up on it using Sokoban's code. So that should be pretty easy, I think. How did Sokoban create? Let me go back to directory names. So it's this thing right here. So we don't need to do a loop on it. All we have to do is do it once, right? So info, directory info is fine. That's good. We're gonna do the same thing actually. Yeah, that's all we need. We just don't need it in a loop. So that return and continue can probably go away. Yeah, well, you can return if you want, but you don't need to continue, right? Here is a shortcut that it's okay to do while you're just doing a test program. Just make sure you don't use it in production. Right? And I like being explicit like this, right? No trickeries, just make it simple for anybody to understand your code. That's it. We don't need to add it to an array, so it's actually a lot simpler. Okay, does that compile? It does not, because their name is not what we're looking for. We want to create a directory on, sorry, a file listening on friendships or friendship.variables. Right, there we go. Cool. Does that compile? Oops. Oh, I see. Right, it's an integer. Goodness gracious. Okay. We're gonna need to read some more on this. Always create directory notification returns either a -1, 0. I guess success is 1. Let's take a look at that. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And we want to make sure that it's 1, right? So we have to do the comparison anyway. Compile. That works. That is perfect. Do you crash if I run you? You do not. Okay. What's next? Now we issue reads, right? Issue one read. Okay. So if we issue one read on our info, that should also compile. Excellent. Okay, so we can make a loop on it. Here's a question. Aren't you able to just have a blocking call until you get a change. I'm not surprised Sokoban doesn't do a blocking call because it's a game, right? So you need to run it 60 times a second. You can't just block unless you run a thread, which is funny because that's what I want to do. Is I want to run a thread. I want to run a thread and have a blocking function on the file on that thread. Is I wrong here? I'm not a game developer. Is that okay? Okay. Well, let's see how that works. Let's see how that works. Creates a file list directory. So it's listening on a full directory. So what I did earlier, the dot variables file, looks incorrect. Allocate buffer. I guess it's fine to just issue read 60 times a second. It's simpler than having to run a thread. You always want to minimize uses of threads if you can. Okay, I'm okay with that. So let's integrate it back into Blotman, and we'll call the stream complete, right? So hot loader, sorry, main Jai as it is good. This will compile under Sokoban theoretically. So let's open up our Sokoban, Blotman. This will compile under Blotman properly, presumably. So let's open up, just do it on main for now, and we'll do a quick copy paste of everything. We already have basic, but we don't have Windows and we don't have Windows UTF-8. So here we go. Boom. We'll put it on top just so I don't forget. File listening. API. Simplified from Sokoban. Massively simplified. Like I just ignored pumping platform notifications and who knows what else they had over there. Going through multiple recursed directories to read and give notifications on those changes. None of that. None of that. Looks good. Okay, let's see if that compiles. It did. Okay. We can maybe even add this thing right here real quick, just for fun. Instead of friendship.variables, we'll change the thing. Okay, we'll just say, hey man, this is test to poke values in your structs. Excellent. And then another test to listen in on file changes, right? And we'll switch this to be run data / all that variables, right? And then we run the game, and an assert fired in line 433. Here, I guess it wasn't a success. You weren't able to get into what's going on. I wonder why that's the case. Well, we'll figure it out next time. It's good enough. I'm pretty happy. If I ignore the assert for now, fix me, and compile, run the game. Excellent. Run it in release and debug. Yeah. Yep, there we go. All right. So we have the tools and the gadgets required to be able to hot reload our structs at runtime. Well, if you hot reload, just assume that you're doing it at runtime. So that's good. That's good. That puts us in a position to finally start editing our struct values and finding out our AI bugs and just being able to iterate on the design and finish up Blockman. We're gonna have so next week we're gonna pause on this whole serialization, file listening stuff. We're gonna add in music from your recommendations, and we'll go from there. Sounds fun. I think I'm gonna do some work offline so we can just speed this up a little more and integrate serialization and struct editing at runtime on my own. I'll come back, explain maybe 5 to 10 minutes how I did it, and then we go straight into music and sound effects. That's the plan for now. So we'll see how that goes. Any questions? Were there any other suggestions about music? I'm not sure about that. Some cool discussion here. Yeah, I apologize for any mumbling. All right, sounds good. It's been 1 hour, so we're gonna leave it there, and you already know what we're gonna do next time. So I'm very excited about that. Don't miss Jai Wednesday next time, y nos vemos a la próxima. Si hay algunas preguntas en el chat, yo con mucho gusto las voy a responder. ¿Ok? A tout à l'heure!